Maurice Jones-Drew, former Raider, former Jaguar, and of course always a Bruin, now currently calling Rams games on the radio locally here in Los Angeles and part of my team at NFL Network. How are you, MJD?
I'm doing well, Rich. Sorry that I'm a little late, man. I ran to the restroom and took a little bit longer than I thought.
Okay, all right. Look, Maurice.
I know 10 o'clock, you're strict about that.
Maurice,
so I'm sorry about that.
Maurice, you're supposed to say you were getting an IV. That's the way it works.
I'm here. I'm on this whole thing of telling the truth, So I figure, the people, they want to know why I wasn't on time.
Okay.
All
right, Maurice Jones-Drew here after getting an IV on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into it. Why was Jared Goff traded, Maurice? Why was he traded?
Yeah, it's so funny, Rich. So it's not funny, but like my phone's been blowing up constantly because obviously with the Rams, you talked about calling the games there. The issue is this. The last couple of years, Jared's play hasn't been up to par. And, the Rams are in a win-now mode. They've been in a win-now mode for a long time. And as you saw with Todd Gurley, when he wasn't playing, they moved on from him. That's kind of been their forte. If you're not putting up the numbers, they don't see the production, or if they can't project your production being high, they try to move on. Brandon Cooks, he had concussion issues. He was kind of coming close to the end there, so they moved on from him. And really what it came down to was that they felt like they had a team this year that probably could have made a run at the Super Bowl, and Jared's play just wasn't up to par. We heard the comments, obviously, from Sean McVay, who's had those comments since the Miami game. The Miami Dolphins game where Jared had 4 turnovers, you started to hear the rumblings then in some of the press conferences. And I don't think Jared gets enough credit. It may not look the part like the Mahomes and the Aaron Rodgers of the world, but he's a winner. He's won. He's won here in L.A. He's won the big games. He's won AFC Championship games. I think Peter Schrager, another one of our colleagues, talked about he's beat Drew Brees in the Dome, and he's beaten Russell Wilson in Seattle multiple times. So he has that winning pedigree. I just think that the Rams feel like there's much more. The offense can be a little bit more with a different quarterback, and they went out and got a guy who they feel has a better arm talent. And all we can do is wait to see what Stafford has for him.
So before we get to the Stafford part of it, so you're saying the Tua first career start was a game where he didn't perform very well, but the number of turnovers and special teams touchdowns that the Dolphins were able to put on the board just boat raced the Rams right out of South Florida. That was where things took a turn, or were they already turning before all that between McVay and Goff?
I think 2019 kind of was like the start of it, right? Not playing well in Chicago. And there was a couple games where he just didn't play well. And it was kind of like, the year before he went on that Mackless run where he was rolling in the playoffs. You beat the Saints throwing the ball. And so there was high expectation. 2019, the offensive line gets hurt. Todd's not the same. There's a lot of pressure on Jared to compete and win games. He doesn't do it. They missed the playoffs. This year was kind of okay, we're going to bounce back, see what's going on. And then you just saw there were some games where he was just so inconsistent. There was games where he played lights out. Then there were games where, he didn't play well. And I think that Dolphins game was kind of the start of when you start to hear the stuff come out, right, from the organization. Normally you don't hear those things, but I think, a lot of it was like, we don't know what else to do. There were some times in those situations where I just think, the football relationship kind of was just ruined in that point. I can't say ruined. It just started not to work for either side. And so the Rams since I've been calling their games and been working with them, they have moved on from top talented guys. They don't have a problem doing it. And, this has kind of been their track record.
Maurice Jones-Drew here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how does Stafford fit in a better way than Goff? How is he the upgrade that Les Snead was hearing about or seeing is necessary, and then went ahead and mortgaged 2 more first-round picks out of the future? They're going to go 7 years without a first-round pick unless it gets replenished.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Rich. They don't believe in, so, for example, the Jalen Ramsey trade, they knew for those 2 years there wasn't a guy that was going to come out and be like Jalen Ramsey for them. And we've seen Jalen Ramsey lock it down, right? And so I think they believe, again, that there's no quarterback that's going to come out in this draft and be a Matthew Stafford. And so if you're, I would, if that's how you see it and that's what you think, then you pull the trigger and you make that trade happen. Matthew Stafford, and then we all know this, is one of the better arm talents in the game. He throws it from all different angles, very similar to Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. He can throw the ball from different platforms. And I think Bucky Brooks has talked about it. A lot of guys have talked about it, but I believe when you see Matt LaFleur's offense flourish with Aaron Rodgers and what it looks like, you're kind of like, oh, man. And so, Sean McVay wants to know if Matthew Stafford can be that guy for them to help them get over the hump. Also, we have to know this. Aaron Donald's in his prime and Jalen Ramsey's in their prime. And you don't want to waste those guys who will probably be first ballot Hall of Famers, Aaron Donald for sure. You don't want to waste their prime, right? You want to try to get to as many Super Bowls as possible. And the Rams are very confident that they can get to the Super Bowl. They feel like they have a team that is built and ready to go. And so they wanted to make a push at it. And as a player, you have to respect that. I know for Jared, it doesn't feel good to be like casted away and those type of things, but you're in a situation where a team wants you and you'll be able to go and play for another team. And guys on the Rams, that when you play for the Los Angeles Rams, they're trying to win now all the time. And that's very similar to how the Pittsburgh Steelers have been. That's very similar to how, a lot of teams that have been perennial winners have been. And so, the Rams want to be in that category.
In the few minutes I have left with you, Maurice Jones-Drew, break down Super Bowl 55 for me. Who wins it and how does that happen? What to look for, so on and so forth.
Rich, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Unless you can score 40 points in a game, you're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 15-1. The one loss that they've had is when the Raiders beat them, the Las Vegas Raiders. They beat them. The Los Oakland Raiders, because they still got some stuff in Oakland there. Mm-hmm. The Los Oakland Raiders, they scored 40 points and they played lights out that game. And so when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as good as they are, when you watch that NFC Championship game, they dropped a lot of passes. Tom didn't have the best second half. Their defense created turnovers. But I just believe that the Chiefs showed in the AFC Championship game that no matter who they're going against, because the Buffalo Bills are one of the hottest teams coming into that game, they just boat raced them. And so when they start playing the way they've played the last couple weeks, the Chiefs are a tough team to beat. And so for me, if you can't score 40 points, it's not going to be close.
Yeah, but Brady can, right? Brady can definitely score 40 points in this game. Why not?
I don't know, because I saw Brady in the second half throw 3 turnovers, 3 picks. That becomes a problem, because if you turn the ball over against the Chiefs, it's going to be different. And I'm going to go back and watch the Bucs Chiefs game, but from my memory, I want to believe like in the third quarter the Chiefs were up by like 14. It was like the end of the third quarter they were up by 14. They kind of called off the dogs a little bit, and that's how the Bucs came back. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl, but I just think the Chiefs have too much offense for the Buccaneers.
Well, I mean, the last 3 quarters of their Week 12 game, they played them pretty much straight up, So, and they only gave up 27. They just scored 24, and a lot of them came late. That's what I'm saying. Like those late touchdowns, I don't think you're going to get those. Like I truly believe the Chiefs kind of went into like, let's just get out of this game. We're up by 14. Let's get out of this game and run the ball and try to get out. And that's when the defense locked down and Tom figured it out and kind of made it go. But I think if the Chiefs were still throwing the ball, I mean, Tyreek Hill had 190 yards in the first quarter. So let me just wrap it up this way then. Do you think if the Rams had Matthew Stafford in January, they'd still be playing right now? What do you think?
I think they would. I think to be honest with you, I think if Jared Goff was completely healthy and Aaron Donald was completely healthy, they would have beat the Packers. And then they would have probably beat the Buccaneers. So they did it early in the season with the way their defense and the way they were playing. I believe, again, that I'm a Ramley guy, but if Cooper Kupp is out there, Aaron Donald's 100%, and even with a 9-finger Jared Goff, they should have ran the Packers.
9-finger Jared Goff. I've never heard of that phrase before. But so then why does Goff have to go, Maurice?
I was once told this in the National Football League when I played. Like, some people just don't get along. Like, some people's personalities just don't match up. And I think this is more of a football personality, because Jared is an awesome dude. Everyone loves him,
right? From
what I hear. And I actually worked out. I actually rehabbed with Jared when he was a freshman at Cal, so I know Jared's a good guy. I just think that his football personality is not what they're looking for, right? They may want more of a fiery guy, a guy that's going to, bark back and do some different things. Jared's real even kill. He doesn't like water off a duck's back. That may be the issue. But also, you have to remember this too, Rich. If I'm paying you $100 million, I need production, because if you're not producing at that level, I can't convey that to the team that you should be the guy, if that makes sense.
Maurice, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. I'll see you.
problem.
I'll see you soon, hopefully.
All right. See ya.
Back at you. That's Maurice Jones-Drew at MJD. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.